Hare Krishna. So we are going to discuss chapter number 15, the instructions for civilized human beings. We'll start with Mangalacharana. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine वागीशा यस्य वदने लक्ष्मीर्यस्य च वक्षसि यस्यास्ते हृदये संवित् तं नृसिंहमहं भजे एकेन चक्रमपरेण करेण शङ्खम् अन्येन सिन्धुतनयामवलम्ब्य तिष्ठन् वामेतरेण वरदाभयपद्मचिह्नं लक्ष्मी नृसिंहमम देहि करावलम्बम् उग्रं वीरं महाविष्णुं ज्वलन्तं सर्वतोमुखं नृसिंहं भीषणं भद्रं मृत्योर्मृत्युं नमाम्यहम् प्रह्लाद नारद पराशर पुण्डरीक व्यासादि भागवत पुंगव हृन्निवास भक्तानुरक्त परिपालन पारिजात लक्ष्मी नृसिंह मम देहि करावलम्बम् योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचं सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरा स्वधाम्ना अन्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनदानं नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति. So, Hare Krishna. So we have so far discussed the story of Prahlada, and we have been discussing the section of Varnashrama Dharma, and in that we have completed Varna Dharma and we are currently in Ashrama Dharma. So in the last chapter we have discussed about the Grahastha Dharmas, and in this chapter we are going to discuss about the instructions for civilized human beings. सभ्य नागरिकता, इसके बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे. So this is the chapter breakdown. From verse number 11, 1 to 11, we have different rules for the shraddhas and ceremonies for the grahasthas who are attached. And then from 12 to 21, during the course of execution of the dharmas by the grahasthas, how one has to avoid irreligion, that is discussed. And from 22 to 25, if there are any obstacles, what are the obstacles and how to conquer those obstacles during the execution of dharma, that is described. 26 to 29 describes about the importance of a spiritual master, guru, accepting the spiritual master. And 30 to 40 describes about how these people, those who are in the Grihastha ashrama, how they can be elevated into the further ashramas. So that is discussed. And on from 41 to 46, this how to elevate oneself spiritually, to describe that, an analogy of the chariot is described. And 47 to 56, the process of Devayana is described during the course of execution of these dharmas. 57 to 68 summarizes the occupational duties. 69 to 74, Narada Muni describes his own previous example, how actually one needs to be in the context, like how one needs to be actually careful while execution of his duties. So, and to actually impress over that, the attentiveness to be taken care of while execution of one's dharma. He cites his own example, what was his previous life. And then he glorifies Yudhishthira Maharaja, that how greatly fortunate Pandavas were to have Krishna personally by their side. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj actually reacts to that. And then that Sukadeva Goswami concludes his narration of the progeny of daughters of Daksha, in due course of which all this discussion has ensued. He concludes that conversation. So, delving into what is the connection between this chapter and the previous chapter? So, in the previous chapter, the importance of a Brahmana is described. So, in this chapter, what are all the different grades of those called those Brahmanas? Among those Brahmanas, there can be people who are actually attached to fruitive activities. So they are called as Grahasthas. And there are other people who actually have gone through the ashram of Grahastha, and they are supposed to actually develop some detachment to the home and hearth during the course of execution of their material duties, and also in the spiritual ashramas. And that is so those people can be categorized into vanaprasthas, brahmanas, and sannyasis. So the grahastha will graduate to vanaprastha, and then in the consciousness there are another set of people. They are called brahmacharis. Actually here it is sent as brahmanas. It's misspelled. It is brahmachari, and it is sannyasis, those who are actually renounced. So the vanaprastha can graduate into a sannyasi, and a brahmachari who has not gotten married, so he is a Naishtika brahmachari, he will also eventually end up becoming a sannyasi. So now we will start our narration. Verse number 1. Sri Narada Uvacha Karmanishta Dvija Kechit Tapo Nishtha Nrupa Pare Swadhyayenne Pravachane Kechana Jnana Yogayo. So Narada Muni continues saying, so, my dear king, Kechit. So, Kechit Karmanishta Dvijaha. So, some Brahmanas are very much attached to fruitive activities. Kechit Taponishta Nrupa Pare. Some are attached to austerities and penances, Taponishta. And Kechit Swadhyaye Anye Pravachane. And still others Anye. And still others Swadhyaya Pravachane. So they are actually interested in self-study and Pravachane, and teaching it to others. So, and Kechana Jnana Yogayoho, and some are attached to Jnana, the process of knowledge, cultivating knowledge, and different types of yoga. So that includes Bhakti Yoga. So that is especially Bhakti Yoga. So these are all the kinds of Brahmanas which they are, which there can be in the society. Okay. Jnananishthaya deyani kavyanyanantam ichchata daive cha tad abhave syat itarebhyo yatharhataha. So, among those kinds of Brahmanas, so we have discussed how many? Karmanishta, Taponishta, Swadhyaya Pravachane and Jnana Yogayoho. So we have discussed 5: Karmanistha, Taponistha, Swadhyaya Pravachane, Jnana and Yoga. So 5 kinds of people we have described. So among them, Jnananisthaya Deyani. So what is their characteristic? Kavyani Anantyam Ichhata. So they are desiring liberation. And Daivecha tat abhave asyat, abhave syat, itarebhyo yadharhataha. So a person desiring liberation of his forefathers among those people of the previously kinds of described Brahmanas, what he should do? He should, that person who actually adheres to impersonal monism. So he is a Jnananishta. He should give charity. So Deyani, he should give charity, and he is attached to. So in the absence, so he should give charity to whom? He should give. Sorry, where did I miss somewhere? So person desiring liberation for his forefathers or himself, he should give charity to a Brahmana who adheres to impersonal monism. So Jnananisthaya Deyani, he should give the charity to Jnananishtha. So in the absence of that Jnananishtha, he has to give charity to a Brahmana who is itarebhyo, but yatharhataha. He is a karmakandi. He is attached to fruitive activities, but he is a qualified Brahmana. So he should give charity to others. So basically this section is describing about the Shraddha ceremonies. So how one has to perform. So in a gist, the charity should be given to a Jnananishta, and in the absence of a Jnananishta, so the charity should be given to a Karmakandi Brahmana who is qualified. Dvav Daive Pitrukarye Trin, Dvav Daive Pitrukarye Trin, Ekaikam Abhayatrava, Bhojayet Susamruddhopi, Shraddhe Kuryan Vistaram. So, what one should not do and what one should do during the course of execution of Shraddha Karma is told here. So, during the period of offering oblations to demigods, so one should invite only 2 Brahmanas. So, Daive Pitrukarye. So, in the Daive, Dvav Daive, in the Daiva Karya, one should invite only 2 Brahmanas. And in the Pitru Karya, he should invite only 3 he may invite 3 Brahmanas. Okay. So, or in either case, 1 Brahmana will suffice. Even though one is very opulent, he should not endeavor. Even one should not endeavor to invite more Brahmanas. Or make very expensive, various expensive arrangements. Na Vistaram Kuryan in the Shraddha ceremony. So, why this injunction is given? The reason is described in the next verse. Desha Kalochita Shraddha Dravya Patrarhanani cha Dravya Patrarhanani cha Samyak Bhavanti Naitani Vistarat Swajanarpanat. If one arranges to feed many Brahmanas or relatives during the Shraddha ceremony, Vistarat Swajanarpanat. So there will be discrepancies. Samyak Bhavanti Naitani. It will not be done properly. Dravya Patra Arhanani cha. So there will be discrepancies in the time, place, respectability, and ingredients. The person to be worshipped and the method of offering the worship. So samyak bhavanti naitani. So that cannot be conducted properly. So why? There will be discrepancies. So if one tries to do elaborate arrangements during these ceremonies, there can be an obstacle of that there can be some discrepancies while executing these things. So whatever is the optimum possible effort that needs to be made. देशे काले च संप्राप्ते मुन्यन्नं हरिदैवतं श्रद्धया विधिवत् पात्रे न्यस्तं कामधुगक्षयम्. So if one does it properly, what will happen? So when one gets the opportunity of a suitable auspicious time and place, deshe kale cha samprapte, then what should do? What one should do? One should with love offer food prepared with ghee. Shraddhaya vidhivat patre, with ghee to the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Muni annam haridaivatam. So he should give that that food to first the deity. Then what one should do? And then offer the prasad to a suitable person. Patre, he should give that to patre, vidhivat, in a proper procedure. So to who is that person? That person is a Vaishnava or a Brahmana. So by doing that, what will happen? Kamadhuk akshayam. Kamadhuk. So it is a it will be like a cow who will fulfill all your wishes, wish fulfilling cow. In other words, it will be the cause of everlasting prosperity. Akshayam Kamadhuk. So if one does this execution of these religious duties in a proper time, place, and when that is first actually offered to the Supreme Lord, and then that charity is given to a suitable person like a Vaishnava or a Brahmana, so then that will give the everlasting prosperity. That duty itself will become like a wish fulfilling cow to that person who is rendering the duty. देवर्षि पितृभूतेभ्य आत्मने स्वजनाय च अन्नं संविभजन पश्येत सर्वं तत्पुरुषात्मकम्. Now to whom all the prasada should be given is mentioned in this verse. One should offer the prasada to demigods, Deva, then Rishi, the saintly persons, and the forefathers, Pitru, and Bhutebhyaha, other living entities, or the people in general. Atmane Swajanayacha, one's family members, one relatives, and friends. So now what he should do with them? Annam samvibhajan. So he should divide with it properly to all these people. What should be the consciousness while executing this, while doing this? Pasyat sarvam tat purusha atmakam. Seeing them all as the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one should actually see the presence of the Supreme Lord in all the living entities while executing these duties. न दद्याद् अमिषं श्राद्धे न चाद्याद् धर्म तत्त्ववेत् मुन्यन्नैः स्यात् परापि प्रीतिर् यथा न पशु हिंसया. Now, while executing this, while division of this and while executing this Shraddha ceremony, there are few more don'ts what needs to be taken care of. What are those? A person fully aware of the religious principles. What he should not do, he should never offer anything like meat. Na dadyat. What is that? Amisham, meat. Nachadyat dharma tattvavit. Meat, so that meat can be, amisham can also mean meat, eggs or fish in the Shraddha ceremony. And even though if one is a Kshatriya, he himself should not eat such things. So now, then when suitable food prepared with ghee, with ghee is offered to whom? Saintly persons. The function is pleasing to the forefathers and the Supreme Lord. Parapritihi. So that is pleasing to the Supreme Lord and the forefathers. And what is displeasing to them? They are not displeased by killing the animals. Pashu himsaya. So they are never pleased when animals are killed in the name of sacrifice. So this verse in short is telling that one should not offer meat in the Shraddha ceremony. So animal killing is not recommended for Shraddha ceremonies. Nowadays we see so many people that my father or my some people say their fathers and their grandfathers, they actually like some meat, and actually that may be a custom also. Some of them, they offer meat into the in the Shraddha ceremonies of their forefathers. So that is not actually recommended by the Shastra. So it is telling that Muni annaihi syat parapritihi. If one who is actually dharma tattvavit, so one who is actually knower of religious principles and knowledge of the religious principles, he should not offer meat. So, and that will not actually satisfy the Supreme Lord or the forefathers. So the forefathers and the Supreme Lord will be satisfied by the offering of annaihi, ghee and other preparations made with ghee. So they will be satisfied by that. More than that, which is consisting of meat and other products. Naitadrisha paro dharma nranam saddharmamichhatam nyaso dandasya bhuteshu mano vakkaya jasya cha yah. Saying, why in the previous verse it is described one should not kill animals and offer them as the oblations to the forefathers and to the Supreme Lord, because they are not satisfied. So those persons who want to advance in spiritual superior religion, parodharma, are advised to give up all envy of other living entities, whether in relationship to the body, words, or mind. So there is no religion superior to this. So one should not be envious of the animals or, for that point, any other living entity. So one who is actually desiring to prosper in a religion, in a proper superior religion, sadharma, those people, nyasya dandasya bhuteshu. So they should give up envy towards other living entities through mano, vak, kaya, in words, body, sorry, in the mind, words, or body, or in the other order, body, words, and mind. So they should give up all envy. So if one is not envious of the other living entities, that itself is a superior, topmost religion. So basically, non-violence. Non-violence not only through body, but also mind and words. Eke karma mayan yajnan jnanino yajna vittamaha atma samyamane aniha juhvati jnana deepite. Because of an awakening of spiritual knowledge, those who are intelligent in regard to sacrifice, who are actually aware of religious principles, and who are free from material desires, control the self in the fire of spiritual knowledge or knowledge of the absolute truth. So they may give up the process of ritualistic ceremonies. Now, someone is executing all these duties which we have described so far. So how is the gradual elevation happening? That is described here. So now they are saying that while executing Eke Karmamayan Yajnan, so while execution of this yajnas, those who are intelligent with regards to the yajna vittamaha, those who are actually the knowers of yajna, and they are jnaninaha, so they have awakened spiritual knowledge. So what is their other qualification? Aniha, they actually have developed detachment to material desires. So what will they do? Juhvati jnana deepite. They will offer they will actually control the self in the fire of spiritual knowledge. So Juhvati actually also means that they are offering. So they are actually controlling their material desires. They are controlling the self. So that is called as offering in the fire of spiritual knowledge. Jnana deepite. So they can give up the process of ritualistic ceremonies. Eke karmamayan yajnan jnanino yajnavittamaha atma samyamane aniha. So one who is actually detached, he does not have desires. So he can actually give up the process of ritualistic ceremonies which were being described so far. Dravyayajnairyakshamanam društva bhutani bibhyati esha ma karno hanyad atagno hyasau dhruvam. So why the animal killing is discouraged is explained in this verse. It's telling that when the animals, so when they see that person, they are being actually led to the arena of sacrifice. Upon seeing the person engaged in the sacrifice, if they see that person, the animals think they are actually, if they see, they will become afraid. They will think that Esha ma karuna hanyat. He does not have any compassion. Ma karuna and hanyat. and he will kill us. Atat jnyo. He does not have knowledge of the proper sacrifice. Asau thrup dhruvam. And being most satisfied by killing others, he will kill us also surely. So the animals will think, they will become afraid, and they will think that this person, he is a merciless person. He actually is ignorant of the proper purpose of sacrifice, and because of attachment to killing others, he will surely kill us also. So the animal is also thinking. So some people may think that, oh, what is there? We are the animal cannot express itself with words. So it doesn't matter. We can kill them. So if that is even in the yajna, this is prohibited. What to speak of getting them to slaughterhouses and mercilessly slaughtering them? That is very much condemned and prohibited by the Shastra. Here we are discussing about those people who are doing some kind of Vedic sacrifice also. So even in that sacrifice, the animal killing is discouraged. So what to speak of eating just for the sake of satisfaction of the tongue? How much karma a person will incur while doing that activity? So that is mentioned here. Tasmad daivopapannena munyannena api dharmavet santushto aharah kuryan nitya naimitiki kriyaha. Then, oh, but this is a kind of sacrifice, right? So what is the problem in doing that? Then it is said, therefore, day by day, one who is actually aware of the dharmavit, and he is not heinously envious of the poor animals. He should happily perform what? Aharaha kuryan. Santushtaha aharaha kuryan what? Nitya naimitike kriyaha. He should happily perform daily sacrifices. Ahar ahaha means, ahar means aharaha means day and night. So when in day and night, basically every day, he should be satisfied by doing nitya naimitiki kriya. He should be satisfied in performing daily sacrifices. And these, what about these sacrifices which were described before? These can be performed in certain occasions with whatever food is easily available. Daivopapannena muni annenapi. So one should be satisfied by doing these kind of yajnas on certain occasions with food which is easily available. So killing an animal is not easy. So first of all, to kill an animal, you have to actually grow that animal. So the animal eats grass, so and other foodstuffs. So you have to grow that foodstuffs first, and then you have to kill it. So, and while killing it, the animal is thinking, oh, this person is not aware of dharma only, and he is actually very envious of other living entities. He is going to kill us. So this is all which is very complicated process. But for the satisfaction of the tongue, people will do elaborate sacrifices or for other purposes. So that is being discouraged here. So now one is telling that we are talking about dharmas. What are all the kinds of different adharmas which is being described here? So you are saying that you are talking about knowers of dharma, but who does not know? Please tell us. So there are 5 types of such people, adharma. You know, vidharma paradharmascha abhasa upamachalah adharma shakha panchema dharmajna dharmavatyajet panchema. So there are 5 branches of irreligion. So they are called, one is vidharma, appropriately known as irreligion. And then there is paradharma, which is religious principles for which one is unfit. Means it is not his dharma, but it is paradharma. That is also adharma. Doing others' dharma is also called adharma. And pretentious religion, abhasa. It may seem that you are actually dharmic, but it is not dharmic. Then analogical religion, that is upadharma. So like it is only a part of religion. It is not the taking the full dharma into consideration. That is upadharma. And cheating religion, chala dharma. That dharma is actually only for cheating. Nowadays we will find so many examples of that. Then one who is aware of real life, dharmagnya, real religious life, must abandon these 5 kinds of irreligions. So what is dharma, what is adharma is being described over here. So paradharma means that religion for which one is unfit. We talked about dharma, others dharma. So there is a swadharma which is actually meant for us according to our psychophysical nature. So paradharma here means that religion for which one is unfit. And vidharma is that which one obstructs one from following his swadharma. And then we talked about abhasa. Abhasa means pretentious religion, we said. So what is that pretentious religion? It is manufactured by one who willfully neglects prescribed duties. So it is a pretentious religion. It is a made up dharma for while neglecting prescribed duties willfully. So that is called abhasa. It actually appears like dharma, but it is not. Then there is upadharma. So this is like a new type of dharma created by a proud person who opposes the Vedas. He is actually seeming to be dharmic, but all this is actually in opposition to the Vedic conclusion. So that is called upadharma. Then there is chaladharma. There is there will be many people by word jugglery. They will introduce different kinds of dharmas. Like here you are seeing examples of these people. The one who is actually killing a cow, and someone may says that sambhog se samadhi, and someone is getting the married a woman married to a dog, and actually fighting of Drona is also considered to be like adharma, because during Mahabharata war, the forefathers of Drona also come and tell him in between the battle that you stop fighting now. You are actually a Brahmana. You are not supposed to fight. Now you stop fighting. So because he is creating unnecessary violence on the enemy camp because of his anger. So that is also one kind of adharma. Then there is then there is cheating religion. So like someone is posing to be like a great sadhu. Now we are all aware of all these things, right? In the society, there are so many examples of that. So everything but dharma is recommended by Krishna. Everything but every dharma that recommended by Krishna is actually the dharma. So what is that dharma? Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masichaha. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Navai vidur rishayo napi devaha. So dharma is actually enunciated by the Supreme Lord himself. That dharma which is in opposition to the statements of Krishna and in opposition to the actual goal of the dharmic life is which is liberation or salvation or devotional service to the Supreme Lord, that is totally adharma. So that's why Krishna says, you don't care about whether that is proper, this is proper, nothing. He said sarva dharman parityaja. So when Krishna is saying sarva dharman parityaja, he is saying the supreme most dharma is to actually surrender to me and to abide by the instructions what I am giving right now, because I am the propounder of dharma. So when Krishna is saying surrender, so that is actually the proper dharma for any jiva, and that dharma which actually opposes such kind of principle is actually adharmic. Dharma badho vidharma syat paro dharmo nyachoditeha upadharmastu pakhando dambho va shabda bhichalaha. Saying religious principles that obstruct one from following his own religion is called vidharma. Now vidharma is explained here. What is that? Which obstruct one from following his own religion. We already discussed this part. Okay. And then religious principles introduced by others are called paradharma. We discussed that. And a new type of religion created by one jugglery is called chaladharma. So a real religion is the law which is created by the Supreme Lord. It cannot be manufactured by any person of this world. So it can actually, that real religion actually leads one to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. It leads one to become a devotee. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahaituki apratihata sa vai. So that is only called as dharma. What is it? Savai pumsam paro dharmo. So that is the actually transcendental religion which leads one to the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. So we see that nowadays there are some religions like Buddhists and Mayavadis. They may actually play a part in the construction of the whole religion, but in themselves they does not constitute the proper full religion. So this is so everything has that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually named our philosophy as Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. So the essence of all the religious principles is very much encompassed in this one statement, Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. So that is we need to take care of that part. Now we are discussing यस्तिच्छया कृतः पुंभीर आभासो हि आश्रमात् पृथक् स्वभावविहितो धर्मः कस्य नेष्टः प्रशान्तये. Now we are discussing about abhasa, a pretentious religious system manufactured by one who willfully neglects his prescribed duties of his order of life is called abhasa. That is, abhasa in Sanskrit actually means a reflection, a dim reflection of false similarity. But if one performs the prescribed duties for his particular ashrama or varna, why are they not sufficient to mitigate all material distresses? So why we actually perform our dharma? To earn ardha and other part of it to counteract misery. So any activity for that point is done only with this regard, to attain happiness and to mitigate distress. So if this dharma is performed according to if one performs actually his prescribed duties in a proper way, which is actually apt for his ashrama and varna, why is it not in itself sufficient to give the cessation from the miseries which he is undergoing? It is very much sufficient. So these are all examples which can be cited. Like they may appear like a religion, but actually they are not religion. So it can be Ashoka. Ashoka was a great emperor before. So and he was when he in his war with Kalinga, he had killed so many people. The Kalinga king actually lost to Ashoka. Then all the citizens, along with the women and other people, the children also, they came to fight. Everyone was killed in that war. So after that war, seeing that, seeing the bloodshed, it was described that the blood was flowing like rivers from that war. So when that happened, he actually got little concerned. So it is at that time he came in contact with Buddhism, and he spread this because the king Ashoka was like the emperor of the whole kind of planet that time. Because with his patronage, the whole Buddhism has spread throughout the subcontinent. That was the history of Buddhism. Now, Buddhism is only touching upon one aspect of proper religion. It actually is disregarding the Vedas. So anything disregarding Vedas cannot be accepted as dharma in one regard. Now one may say that what is the need for dharma? Buddha is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So just as we described in the previous verses, the animal sacrifices were actually recommended such for certain section of people who cannot control their material desires. However, those actually were like prohibitions. Like the government may open a liquor shop. He may give the government may give license for liquor shop, shop to be put in the city. But that does not mean that the government encourages people to drink liquor. The government understands that there will be anyway certain kind of people, certain section of the society which would actually be interested in wine, who cannot be controlled otherwise. So to regulate their desires or channelize their desires, the government itself is giving regulated, uh, regulated, what is the word? Facility for taking that. So that does not mean it is a recommendation, but it is just channelizing a person's nature. Now, in this respect also, when the animal killing was actually taken advantage of by certain section of people, Buddha had to, in the name of Vedic religion, Vedic principles, citing the Vedic injunctions, Buddha had to come and to stop. He had to stop the whole thing. So generally, if parents may have this experience when a child is actually playing with a knife. So even what is the first thing one has to do is to not to teach the child how to use the knife, but to actually stop him from hurting himself. So sometimes the parent may cry saying that stop it. So that is what actually Buddha has done. So the animal killing was there in the Vedic fold. However, people who do not know the actual purpose of the animal sacrifice has misused it, and the Buddha had to come and he has to stop the animal sacrifice, saying that you don't follow Veda now. So that's why it is called as abhasa. It is not a religion. Non-violence in itself does not constitute the religion, but non-violence can be a part of the religion. Yeah. So that aspect to be considered. Dharmartham api neheta yatrartham vadhanodhanam anihaniha manasya mahaheriva vrittida. Aniha. Even if a man is poor, he should not endeavor to improve his economic condition just to maintain his body and soul together, or to become a famous dharmic person, a religionist. An analogy is given. Just as a great python, although lying in one place, not endeavoring for its livelihood, gets the food it needs but to maintain the body and soul, one who is desireless also obtains his livelihood without endeavor. So someone may argue that if I don't endeavor for if I stop these sacrifices, how will I maintain myself? No. So here it is said that a python is just lying at one place, but it will get his food automatically by the arrangement of the Supreme Will of the Supreme Lord. Something will come as its prey. So similarly, a person, he should not follow dharma simply for the sake of his improving his economic condition or to maintain his body. So, and what to speak of cheating in the name of religion, that is even prohibited. So one should actually adopt ajagara vritti. So like a python, you be satisfied with whatever it comes. So rest assured that the python lives. The python is not dying just by staying at one place. So similarly, our maintenance is assured even if we don't endeavor so much. Santushtaya nirihasya swatma ramasya yat sukham kutastat kamalobhena dhavatordheya artheha hayadishaha. One who is content and who and satisfied, and who links his activities with the supreme personality of Godhead, residing in one's heart. He enjoys transcendental happiness without endeavoring for livelihood. Where is such happiness for a materialistic person? He is impelled by lust and greed, and he wanders in all directions with a desire to accumulate wealth. So just by so much of endeavor to satisfy our lust and greed, and wandering in trying all possible actions to accumulate wealth, he actually cannot get happiness. So the example of the deer running in a desert is very much appropriate. It looks after the mirages, but that is only a actually that is a illusion. That's an optical illusion. It's not a fact. So similarly, what is actually happiness? Happiness is a state of our heart. So one who is content and satisfied, and who actually connects everything, all his activities with the Supreme Lord, who is residing in one's heart. Swa Atma Ramasya. So he will actually enjoy transcendental happiness. So in short, it is told that one who actually looks for happiness inside, being satisfied with whatever comes his way, he actually becomes happy, not the person who is actually endeavoring for happiness in very like a passionate way. Sada santushta manasaha sarva sivamaya disaha sarkara antaka adibhyo yathopanat padasivam. For a person who has suitable shoes on his feet, there is no danger. Sarkara kantakatibhyo. Yathopanat padah sivam. So one who is wearing shoes, he does not have concern for pebbles and thorns. For him, everything is auspicious. So similarly, the satisfaction of the heart is actually like a shoe in the journey of life for us. So one who is self-satisfied, for him everything is auspicious. There are no troubles in this world. Indeed, he feels happiness everywhere. Why? He is looking into the happiness within. Santushta kena varajan navartetapi varina aupasthya jaihvya karpanyad grahapalayate janah. Now, what is the meaning of satisfaction? So, satisfaction can go to the level of accepting the bare minimum. Saying a self-satisfied person can be happy even with only drinking water. Kena O king, na vartetapi varina. So just by drinking water, santushtaha. However, one who is driven by senses, what are those senses? Aupasthya jaihvya karpanyat. He is driven by greed for genitals, the tongue. He must accept a position of a household dog. Grahapalayate. Like a pet, domestic pet. He has to actually, why he is considered to be a pet here? because the master is not him here, the master is the senses. So the senses are actually driving him crazy to satisfy his desires. So the senses, the mind and the senses have become the masters of that particular jiva. So that's why he is called as Grihapalayate. He is a pet animal in the hands of the sense enjoyment. So we have this experience also in this world. Actually, people who are like addicted to wine and other things, they are controlled by such desires. Actually, they are helplessly attracted to such things. They don't have control over their self. So the desires they have, they control them. And on the other hand, a sadhu, who is a spiritual transcendentalist, he is very much in control of his senses. He knows actually what he is doing, what he needs to be done. He does that same thing. So that so that is called self-control. Asantushtasya viprasya tejo vidyatapo yasah sravantindriya laulyena jnanam chaiva kiryate. Because of greed for the sake of the senses, the spiritual strength, education, austerity, and reputation of a devotee or a brahmana who is not self-satisfied, it will dwindle, and his knowledge gradually vanishes. Asantushtasya vipasya tejo vidya tapo yasah sravanti indriya laulyena. It will sravanti, it will diminish us. Why? Because of indriya laulya, the greed for sensual enjoyment. It will sravanti, it will dwindle, it will actually, what do you call? Okay, whatever. So it will actually vanish gradually. So for one who is a dissatisfied brahmana, asantushtasya viprasya, his teja, his prowess, his vidya, his knowledge, his austerity, his fame, his jnana, his knowledge, all these things diminishes. These are the ill effects of dissatisfied, uncontrolled senses. Kamasyantam hi kshutrubhyam krodhasyaitat phalodayat janoyati na lobhasya jitva bhuktva diso bhuvaha. Now, the strong bodily desires and needs of a person disturbed by hunger and thirst. Kamasya antam hi kshut trudhyam. Kshut and trud, hunger and thirst, are certainly satisfied when he eats. So, one can be satisfied by eating and drinking if there is hunger and thirst. Then, similarly, if one becomes angry, that anger is the anger is satisfied by chastisement and reaction. So if you are angry at someone, so if we shout, that anger is gone. Or if we react in a certain way, that anger is gone. But there is one danger here. For a person, as for greed, even if a greedy person has conquered all the directions of the world, or has enjoyed everything of this world, still he will not be satisfied. So greed is considered the greatest obstacle in one's progress in life. So one should be very careful about greed. So greed is like you get, but you are not satisfied. We have this experience. People, there are so many billionaires, trillionaires, multi-trillionaires in this world. Still they want to do so many things. And they will not even sleep. They will even sacrifice their sleep and bodily comfort in this world. But they are still not satisfied. Why? That is actually greed. So, if one is actually wanting to advance in or progress in one's life, either in the Varna, Ashrama, dharmas, he has to actually conquer greed. So we will stop here, and if there are any questions, we will take.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
So, in order to overcome this greed, Prabhuji, can you please let us know how a devotee should aspire for, what things a devotee should aspire for?
Yeah, this is the thing. The principle of satisfaction is described here. So one who is content with whatever one gets, he actually can conquer our greed. So and another way of engaging this greed is to be greedy for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. See, greed for oneself is actually detrimental, but greed for service of the Supreme Lord actually it elevates. Did you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, Prabhuji. So, for example, I just have a small doubt, Prabhuji. I just want to give some example. Can I? So, we have cows in our house, Prabhuji. So, they give some 12 liters of milk per day. So, it comes under greed. Like we use 1 or 2 liters, and other we have 10 liters like that. We just give to others. Means for money only they are selling, my in-laws. So does it come under greed, or we have to give to the Lord?
Mataji, so Mataji, the details of what we are doing it in our life, it is subjective. We cannot comment upon that. But the principle is that in our intent in doing that action. So if by doing that action, whether we are actually trying to satisfy our senses and our own desires, that actually comes under the like sense enjoyment, sense pleasure. But so then we can consider one example. Okay, since you have raised this also here, are you satisfied with only selling the 5 liters of milk, and maybe, for example, for maintenance, you are having that as a livelihood? No. So
no,
every
Prabhuji, that
person
we
has
use
to.
for cows only, for their nutrient, to buy their nutrients only.
So then that can be fine, right? So if you are, so the point here is what we are talking about is about the desire for sense enjoyment. That we are not talking about. Okay, we will not go so much into details. The principle is self-satisfaction as much as the optimum. So here, since you said that that is actually for generating revenue for the cost, yes, whatever is actually appropriate to that time, place, and circumstances, that can be taken. So, Prabhuji, anyone can comment? Kranti Prabhu or Shashank Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. I have nothing to add. So it is very subjective, actually. So therefore, one has to take personal guidance in this regard.
Yeah. So the principle is self-satisfaction with the bare minimum necessities. So greed means anything which is actually above this purview.
Prabhuji, actually, we are now just hearing that Gautama Buddha is really incarnation of Mahavishnu at avatar as 9, or it's Ananta Deva. In scriptures, I have seen that Gautama Buddha is not there in so many scriptures as Dashavatara, but in so many times we are hearing that he is incarnation. Is it Prabhu?
Jayadev Goswami has talked about Buddha. Nindasi yajna vidheraha shruti jatam sadaya hridaya darshita pasughatam. So he describes Lord Buddha as one of the incarnations. Now there are different Buddhas. I am not so much in knowledge of that now. Right now, I can post it as a different article as in the group for that.
Prabhuji, is desiring for financial security in future, will it come into the greedy category?
Mataji, the principle we explained is for the maintenance of body and soul together and to run our family. So that is that is actually required for every human being, every living entity. Okay, self-sustenance. Now, what is greed? Greed is something which is beyond this purview. So now, if we can, so the bare minimum is to maintain body and soul together. Now, for someone is to the idea is to reduce our material desires as much as possible and to devote our time more into the service of the Supreme Lord. Now, how much is so much for everyone? That is subjective. Now, someone may be happy actually spending only 5,000 per month for 2 people, and they are happy. Now, how can anyone say, and some people who are actually, there is some certain level of comfort which they actually need for conducting their lives. So for them, they may require some more money. So now who will tell that, can you tell that person to live only with 5,000 of rupees? May not be possible. So, yeah. So it is a subjective question. The principle needs to be understood. Now, actually, the best judge in all these questions is ourselves. So if we are satisfied with the bare minimum, then it's fine. I have seen some people who are actually practicing this.
I
Now,
would want to add one thing, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
How much is too much is actually a very personal question. Some people may be able to retire with just some amount of saving. Whereas for some people, they may be disturbed. They might want more. But again, one should keep this as a benchmark. The benchmark should be when am I able to perform Shravanam and Kirtanam properly?
Exactly.
Okay, for some person, he may be able to do a very demanding job, but still he may be able to do his Shravanam, Kirtanam and Seva properly. So it depends on it. One has to be, as you said, Prabhu, this is a very important point which you said. One has to be very honest first, and one must know what is one's position, and one must know to which position one must aspire actually, because again, peace of mind is also there. So some people are satisfied with a certain amount of saving. Some people need something more, but the benchmark should be, when am I able to, the benchmark should be my Shravanam and Kirtanam.
So it is like it's like a rubber band. You can stretch it to the extent which is actually optimum. If you stretch it beyond, it will break. So how much austerity is possible? See, the bare minimum. The goal is set here. What is that? The goal is to be satisfied like a python. He should not even endeavor for food. It will just stay in one place. But still, by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, the food will come. Now, are we in that position like a python? There are people who are like that python, who are not endeavoring, but still they are maintained. So, are we in that position? If we artificially try to imitate that position, then we may get disturbed, and we may not even focus on our actual goal of life for which we are doing that activity. That is devotional service. So the whole idea is to actually focus more time in devotional service. So even when we are doing that activity, the position doesn't matter. So for example, Prataparudra Maharaja, he was staying in a palace, but he is like a more, sometimes he can be considered as a better devotee than a so-called sadhu is living in the streets without any material happiness, but who is not focusing on devotional service. So I think
Yes, Prabhuji.
that is like we are the judge for such situations in our life, such aspects in our life. I think it's almost 7, so we'll close. Yes, Prabhu?
Prabhuji, there is a question from Lata Swami Mataji in chat window.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm not seeing the chat. In case if meat is offered in Shraddha ceremony, if one is not aware and others who knows this, how can he or she help out the departed soul? We may inform them. We may make them known that this is actually what the Vedas say. Now you have Bhagavatam. You can quote that sloka from this chapter, and you can tell them. Yeah. Now, how can he or she help out the departed soul? Are you asking about that thing which has already been done?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. If you have already offered meat in for the forefathers in the Shraddha ceremony without knowing.
Yeah,
so-
Prabhuji. Actually, if family members, if they won't listen to me, like, so how can we help? I mean, by praying to Lord or just.
Yeah, that is again, all these things are little subjective, Mataji, but the idea is to how much ever you can do your best, you should do. So now, if you have the authority that it should not be done and they will listen to you, you can definitely. But if you cannot, what can you do? They will not listen to you anyway, and they will do it anyway. Then you are, at least from your part, you should make it clear that this is the principle. That is my understanding.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, Prabhuji. I think we can close.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you,
Hare-
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.